Welcome back to the Band Guide. I'm your band guy, Colin, and this is another video in the 5-minute GarageBand Expert series where I'm bringing you 30 tips and tricks for mixing and recording in GarageBand in 30 days. Now this video is all about mixing mindset, how we think about mixing, how we approach mixing. And this matters a lot because how intentional we are in how we approach our mixing will determine how intentional the results sound. So it's important to take some time and figure out how you want to approach mixing. I'm going to share with you in this video 3 tips that have really helped me with my mixing mindset and how I approach mixing. My first tip is focus on the big picture. Don't get lost in the minutia. What do I mean by this? Okay, so there's infinite amount of things that you can do inside GarageBand. Tips, tricks, all sorts of little things you can do. But 90% of your mix is going to come from 3 things. Volume and panning, EQ, and compression. I'm lumping volume and panning into one. Volume and panning, EQ, compression. Focus on those things first and foremost. If you nail those 3 things, you're going to have a great mix already. Everything else is kind of like icing on top. And I want to say this up top because specifically even in this series, I'm going to be bringing you a lot of tips and tricks. And the internet is full of a lot of tips and tricks, and you can spend your entire life learning some of those tips and tricks. But those tips and tricks are likely only going to help you 1%. They're going to make your mix 1% better. So don't get lost in those. Learn from them and apply them when it makes sense for your song, but focus most of your mixing on that 90%, that volume and panning, EQ, and compression, and you'll get a great sounding mix. My second tip is get it right at the source when recording. This is before we're even mixing. But when you're recording, if you're saying, oh, I'll fix it in the mix, then your mix is going to sound like you've just said, I'll fix it in the mix. It's okay to fix little things in the mix, of course. That's a big benefit of mixing. But if you have 30 tracks where you've said, I'll fix it in the mix, you're never going to make that sound natural. The less and more subtle things that we can do in mixing, the more natural and more professional it's going to sound. So take a little extra time when you're recording to get it right at the source, whether that be play with the mic position on the guitar amp or on the vocal, how you're singing into it. Play with that, and if you can get a better recording, you're going to have a more natural and more professional sounding mix in the final stage. My third tip is take breaks. We got to take breaks. I can record and mix forever, for hours on end. I love it. But my ears fatigue. There's just no way around that. Your ears are going to get tired and you're going to lose sight of what you're doing. You're going to keep making changes, but they're not necessarily going to be the best changes. So you should never work for more than maybe an hour at a time, 60 minutes, and then take at least 10-minute breaks. You want to walk around, drink some water, really take some time, move around, and reset your ears. And then when you start back, you want to put on some music before you start back in your music. You want to kind of recalibrate your ears to what a final mix sounds like. That will really help you get a better final mix. So take breaks, rest your ears, reset, and then come back to your mixing. If this video is helpful for you, be sure to subscribe. If you want to know more about mixing, be sure to download my 6 steps to a professional mix in GarageBand checklist. And I'll see you tomorrow with another video.